So 80% win rate strategy. I'm going to show you what the strategy is in this video, and then I'm going to show you some examples of trades that I've taken recently. If you do want to get involved with the channel, please do like and subscribe, leave a comment. 80% win rate. This has been me for the past 2 years. Been having a really great time with this strategy. So do make sure you follow down below, subscribe and all that good stuff. If you do want to get signals and alerts for this, if I can get my words out, then you can get them down in the description below. So we're going to be having a look at the charts then, taking a look at what we've got. This is a really good trade that I took recently. Last week on Tuesday, as you can see here in the PM, this was a fantastic trade. And I'm going to show you what my strategy is. So basically, it's very simple. I'm just looking for big sweeps of liquidity, followed by nice inversions back to the upside of fair value gaps. So say for example in this instance here, price action's going like this, it's created a low, and then we come down, we sweep the low like this, and I'm looking for an inversion back to the upside of a fair value gap. Fair value gap is very simply a 3 candle pattern like this, where you create yourself a gap in the market between 2 candles like this. And then what I'm looking for is 3 candle pattern V shapes are the best, coming back up and closing back over the gap like this. Although you can have 4, 5, 6 candle ones like this that still look good, provided that you've got that V shape after a big sweep of a liquidity level, then that's what I'm looking for. And then very simply, I'll show you the example on the charts here, so you don't have to hear me waffle on too long. So I've got my liquidity sweep here, after already sweeping out loads of lows in the session prior to this. We come down, we sweep the low again, and then look at the reaction here on the 3 minute. Really obvious low with a huge wick. Tons of stop losses down here, I'm sure. Liquidity to be taken. We come down, we take the liquidity, get a really bullish reaction on our 3 minute, and then look what we've created here. We've got a fair value gap here and a tiny one above, but I've just combined them together for the sake of ease and transparency. So you can see here we've got all of our conditions. We've got a major liquidity sweep of this session low liquidity. We've got ourselves a lovely inversion back to the upside. We've got ourselves almost a 3 candle pattern V shape. You could have entered on this one here, although I waited just in case for this one above, because there were some fair value gaps on other time frames here. If we just take a quick look on the 2 minute, there was this small 2 minute gap above as well, and I thought the 3 minute was the most obvious gap, which is the one that I wanted to take. So as you can see here, really easy, simple stuff. What are we looking for? We're looking for liquidity sweep. We're looking for a bullish reaction, a really bullish reaction to this low. As you can see, this is a really good candle, clearly just taking liquidity and reversing, and then we close above our gap. So in the instance of my particular model that I trade, this is what I do. I enter on the inversion of the gap. I trade about 25 accounts copy traded, and I risk about $100, $150 per account per trade. So basically what I'm looking for is I'm scaling for about $150 risk on this trade. In this instance, I think it would be about 3 micros, because this currently is set up here, as you can see, for NQ. So on MNQ, it's 10 times bigger. And this is also set up for $200 risk rather than $150 right now. So basically this would be about 3 micros risk. And what I do is I set my sizing to about halfway between the low and the gap. So if price does this and comes back down and closes below the gap, I consider that a loss, and I'll close my position for a loss. And then what we do is, if things start winning, I look to target a 1-for-1. We come up and hit the 1-for-1 on this, as you can see. At that point, I would scale half my position at 1-for-1 and then go break even on the rest of the trade. Basically, because my win rate is so high, I know that this is technically taking negative RR, because I'm risking $150 and only making 75 on my first scale. But because my win rate is so high with this, I usually take 2, 3, 4, 5 trades before I ever take a loser. And even if 2 or 3 of them are scale half and break even trades that are $75, I'm still in a positive RR because my win rate is so high. And I don't tend to take too many losses in a row. I think I've taken 2 losses in the past 3 weeks, and I've taken about 6 or 7 wins. And I think only one of those wins has actually been a 1R. Most of them go for 2 or 3R. So as you can see here, this is what I do. So I enter on the inversion. We've got your sweep, inversion, enter on the inversion here, target 1-for-1. When we hit 1-for-1, I scale half my position out for $75, $100 profit, depending on the risk. and then I'll go break even on the rest of the position. And as you can see in this instance here, we came up to about a 2 to 1 at this high, where you could have scaled again. That would have been about another $100, $120 of profit on the next half of the position. But personally, I think I took this with 2 or 3 micros, and I was basically just trailing my stop loss once we hit this high. And we actually continued all the way up to the next high, about a 3 to 1. And I made about $300 or $400 on this trade, basically just trailing my stop loss after we hit this internal obvious liquidity target where you would expect a reaction. But we sliced right through this, and we actually went for these higher internal gaps here, higher internal highs here, as you can see, for targets. And I thought this was a beautiful trade. Made loads of sense to me. And overall, I thought this absolutely banged. There was also another really good trade in this session, which I'll highlight here and come back to. If we can go back to it, we'll find it with the circles. Here we go. So I thought this also was an absolute beast of a trade. So as you can see here, this was last Tuesday where we had CPI. We pumped off CPI massively. We came up again, missed the high, and then we ground all the way down, swept out all this liquidity here, all the way down into this really obvious area here where this is like a 1 hour fair value gap or something of the like. And this here was a beautiful trade. So look at this. We come down, we sweep loads of liquidity. There was actually a loss here, which is one of the only losses that I took, which I'll just talk about first because I've just remembered and seen it. If we take a look here, you can see we came down after CPI. We actually take out the 930. This is technically the 130 for me, but it's the 830 candle, I guess, for Americans. But basically taking out this really obvious area of liquidity here, which was the pump candle of CPI. You'd expect there to be loads of stop losses below this. And then you can see here, if we take a look at the charts, quite simply, we came down, we swept this low, and then we come back up, 3 candle pattern V shape on the 1 minute here, looking really bullish, as you can see. I took this trade, sized halfway between the low and the high, as always, about 2 micros, looking to target that high that we missed up here, as you can see, and it failed, which is fine. This can obviously happen in trading. No one has a 100% win rate. This is why the strategy has an 80% win rate, because sometimes you do take decent trades like this and they go for a loss. Part of the game in trading, and I'm happy. I thought this was a good loss. I think the only thing I would say in hindsight is that we probably needed to come down and sweep this low here for more of a bullish reaction. You can see we didn't sweep the low, we just swept the news candle low here, which is classified as a sweep of liquidity, but we could have probably done with having a bit more of a sweep of some major liquidity lows like this. And then I was thinking, okay, well, if I can take another trade today to get back green, then I'll do that. And if we look at the charts here, take a nice little look at what we're seeing. We come down, we sweep out all that liquidity, like I said. As you can see here, we've come down into this, but there's not really any entries at all. We're quite choppy, there's no real gaps. We're obviously forming accumulation here, aren't we? We're in hindsight, this is obviously, we're chopping around in a range, accumulating, and then what do we get? We've got our low here of liquidity. We come down, we resweep the low, and then look at this absolutely beautiful, beautiful fair value gap. This is one of the best ones I've seen in a while. If you take a look at this, really tiny first candle on the fair value gap, massive second candle, smaller third candle, and then look at this beautiful V shape after the sweep. Sweep the liquidity, massive bullish reaction, closing back above the 1 minute there, basically instantaneously. This was an absolute no-brainer for taking a trade, in my opinion. As always, sized for about halfway between the low and the gap, as you can see here. And then pretty much came up and hit the 141 straight away over the course of the next 4 or 5 minutes there. Scaled half my position off here. If I took this without 3 or 4 micros, it'd be about $100 taken off the table. And then I was basically looking to target back up through some of this area of liquidity here. Now, with this trade in particular, I did scale most of my position here, because once we started grinding up like this, I was thinking, I'm not sure whether or not this is going to go all the way back up here because of how much we were struggling to go further. So I actually scaled most of my position here at about a 2 to 1 or a 3 to 1. So I was up about $250, $300 on this, and I left 1 micro running just in case we did start to accelerate. And look at this, We got a Trump tweet, Wick, I think it was. It was Nvidia, something to do with Nvidia in China, if I remember correctly. We came down. We missed my break even on the final micro by literally about, what we're looking at here, a point or two, 3 points, 4 points, and then we reversed all the way back around and start accelerating. And I held my micro here for a long way, for about a 5-6 to 1 or something like that, all the way up here. Absolutely a banger trade. This is why you scale most of your position though at 2 to 3 to 1, because you don't know how far the market's going to go. But I do always try and leave one runner to the upside just in case, because you know how NQ sometimes it can just run and run and run and run all the way back to buy side, and you'll miss most of the move. So I do try and leave one runner on trades as much as I can, and basically I caught the vast majority of this move to the upside. I was just trailing my stop loss. Once I got to about a 5 to 1, you've obviously got some gaps up here that you don't know whether or not you're going to break. That big 1 minute BPR, I think this was a 2 minute and a 30-second BPR as well. But overall, a really, really good trade. And these are the kinds of trades that you can take all the time. I really, really do hope that this enlightened you about my strategy. Like I said, if you do want to get yourself some more alerts and signals and more information about the strategy in more detail, you can sign up to the WOP down below. Take yourself to the private Discord, get yourself some daily updates, daily signals and alerts for trades that I personally take. I post all the trades that I take in there all the time. Bangers like this are always included in the Discord every single day. And overall, I've been having an absolutely excellent time with this, and I hope that you do too. You don't need to sign up for anything, you don't need to give me any money. You can learn the strategy from my videos, but if you do want to get alerts and signals and join the community, you can do so down below. Please do like and subscribe, really, really helps out the channel. Liking the video and hyping the video is absolutely essential for helping me grow, because right now my videos are not growing for some reason. And I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.